Thank you for that warm applause. That I am here today delivering my first State of the City address feels really right to me. And that's because I'm a proud dues-paying member of the Chamber of Commerce and think that they're a wonderful part of helping us move this city forward. Many of you have worked along beside me as we focused on revitalizing our downtown area, and many of you have worked with me as I've become mayor in helping us develop a strategy to focus on a pro-business approach to San Angelo. The message today is we need economic growth. We must have economic growth. We need more industry, more jobs, more economic development. It's true, I believe, for every single person sitting in this room today. And it's true for every business and organization that you represent today. I believe in San Angelo, and I believe in the city's potential, much yet untapped. I know how difficult it was to spark the energy and to maintain the effort that has led to our rejuvenating our historic downtown. Most people said, Brenda, you're wasting your time. It'll never happen. Well, today, compared to 2007, there are now 22 businesses open after the hour of 5 o'clock, where in 2007, there were 3. As tough as that was, we have even bigger opportunities and larger challenges that we must attack. Those are to ensure San Angelo's economy is unusually, unassailably robust and must always be poised to thrive. We deserve that as a city, and you deserve that as citizens. San Angelo is a fantastic place. Even so, we can be more than we are today, but that's true only if people are passionate enough that will help make that happen. I know I am, and I hope you are as well. The thing I'm most passionate about is ensuring that San Angelo is a pro-business city. We've all heard people complain, and maybe we've complained ourselves, about San Angelo's property tax. The only way we can relieve the burden on homeowners is by building a bigger commercial tax base. That means creating jobs and opportunities. We can't do that unless your mayor, your city council, and your city government are projecting a pro-business stance. For example, during my campaign, citizens told me over and over again about the Planning and Permits Department. Person after person came to me and said, "You won't believe what I was told, what I have to do. It's costing me money, it's costing me time, and I don't see the ability to get this project done." We've got to stop that. We need the growth and development. It's a must. We can't ignore the issues and obstacles getting in the way of making that happen. So how do we go about sparking economic growth? Number 1, we must have a vision. Number 2, we must craft a strategy in support of that vision. And number 3, we must pursue economic development that aligns with that vision and those strategies. They all must connect. This city council cannot afford to be a body that spends its time passing new ordinances and dealing with the daily maintenance of the city. We must be a city council that has a bigger vision and a bigger strategy for moving San Angelo forward. Key to this effort will be communication. For the first time maybe ever, the mayor, the chamber president, and the county judge are sitting together, sharing ideas and opportunities that we believe we all share. We're developing partnerships and opening doors. We need to know what's going on with one another. The chamber represents a huge portion of the business community. I ran a campaign that said we need the business community to work, and we need to make it easier for small businesses to thrive. In doing so, we'll see people's wages rise from a minimum wage to a livable wage. It starts with grouping leaders who represent larger constituencies and saying, here's my vision, what's yours? What can we do to accomplish that goal that needs to get done to support our small business community? From a municipal government standpoint, we've got to be a city that generates revenue. So we've got to think strategically about how we grow revenue. So we've got to think about how we grow revenue, right? Right. Our facilities need upgrades. Our infrastructure needs improvement. And that talent on our staff has to be retained. You cannot accomplish those goals with flat revenue year after year. As with the private business, the city survives off revenue that pays the bills. We must develop an attitude of shop local, support local, spend local, and grow local. That said, I cannot support a property tax increase. We are taxing people out of their homes and businesses. The tax bills we got this past year absolutely frightened some people. I know it did me. Where does the money come from all those people? I'll tell you. It comes from where they might have spent to buy a new car, a new wardrobe, or money to renovate their homes. When they don't do those things, we see a decrease in economic activity. Sales tax collections dip, and the churn of dollars turning over in our local economy slows. We are draining people's bank accounts and not allowing them to grow to hold the line when we don't hold the line on property tax dollars. I want each of you to think twice before you make that extra trip to Austin. Go have fun, but keep your dollars local. When you get online, think twice before you push the button that says, I just purchased it. Try to think about a local business that might offer you the opportunity and the item that you just purchased online. Yes, it's easier, but guess what happens? Those sales tax dollars just left this city. They're gone, and we don't get them back. In my mind, a key strategy to boosting economic development is ensuring San Angelo has an industrial park well-positioned to serve potential tenants. That's especially true for industries in which San Angelo already has a strong foothold. Businesses that produce and process food, fuel, and fiber. San Angelo, I believe, must have an industrial park at the airport. Mathis Field has the added benefit of being located along a railway. We don't transport goods by truck alone. Planes and trains have to be a part of the equation. We have huge opportunities at our airport, but we've been so focused on landing a second passenger airline that we've missed out on the economic development opportunities at the airport. For example, there are huge needs for jobs in aeronautics and for airplane mechanics, as well as for commercial pilots. An industrial park at San Angelo Regional Airport could meet those demands. Our competitors are already ahead of us in developing airport/business or industrial parks at their airports. We've got to catch up so we can broaden our focus for the businesses we want to recruit. During the City Council's recent strategic planning session, I offered this list of 5 economic drivers that must be priorities as we make economic development decisions. Number 1, Goodfellow Air Force Base. The base is our largest employer. It today represents 10% of San Angelo's workforce. We must keep working with the military and our elected officials to ensure Goodfellow's continued growth. Number 2, education. Kudos to Howard College for launching a trade school that will open in March 2018. That effort has been underwritten by the Home Builders Association of San Angelo and the industries attached to that group. The skills those Howard College students will learn will enable them to gain a livable wage. Preparing people through education to earn livable wages and to be ready to fill the jobs of the companies we recruit is key. The ACT Work Ready community program also aims to accomplish this. These sorts of efforts help us keep young people here. That includes some of the 10,000 students now enrolled at Angelo State University. Number 3, medical, healthcare, and retirement. Our local healthcare system is important to attracting retirees. Again, our medical providers not only add to the quality of life here, but they are an economic driver. San Angelo must continue to have good healthcare options. And number 4, cultural, recreation, and tourism. The arts help bring people to this city. It's one of the reasons they want to move here or move back here. When it comes to recreation, one of the biggest assets is our parks. And our biggest park, so to speak, is Lake Nasworthy. Every other city around us would love to have Lake Nasworthy. What are we doing to make it an economic driver? What other opportunities are there for recreation at Lake Nasworthy? As for tourism, check out this list of attractions we can provide and promote here in San Angelo. One is the best reserved fort in America, Fort Concho, the world's preeminent collection of water lilies, 50 miles of trails at San Angelo State Park, a world-class art museum, a full complement of performing art groups that stage shows in top-notch Performing Arts Center, and now in the amazing Murphy Performance Hall and Auditorium in City Auditorium. If you haven't had an opportunity to go take a look at it, please do. It truly is a jewel. The Concho River Walk, officially one of the great places in America. The award-winning Texas Bank Sports Complex, and a historic downtown with a bustling nightlife. Are you impressed? I am. Few cities have this laundry list of opportunities as it relates to the cultural aspects of our city, and most cities don't offer them at the prices we offer them here in San Angelo. Try buying symphony tickets in Dallas. It'll tell you what a great bargain you have here, and they don't have our city auditorium. I've already been impressed by Diane Bay's leadership of the Convention Visitors Bureau. We're on the right track to building tourism, which helps grow the sales tax dollars that support economic development activities. Lastly, our 5th priority as an economic driver is agriculture, manufacturing, and oil and gas. We sometimes forget about agriculture because we're not out driving around in cotton fields and tending to livestock herds. But many of the people engaged in agriculture come into San Angelo to spend their dollars. And you know what? Agriculture is our best, made in America, made in the USA, made in Texas product. So thank all of you for that. As for oil and gas, we all know the oil patch is a great thing when it's good, and it's a tough thing when it's bad. The more we look at these other areas of opportunity, the less impact we'll feel during the ups and downs of the oil field. Even so, we want to make sure the oil field has what it needs here in San Angelo. We, as a community, must have a positive attitude about the oil and gas industry. Look back at when sales tax revenue was at its peak. Have we ever had any other industry that sparked that type of growth? The answer, no. And there won't be ever another industry here that will give us those kinds of highs. We need to project ourselves as a city that loves the oil and gas industry and that loves what it does and loves what it does for our community. We can continue to have a quality life here in San Angelo with a terrific oil and gas industry. Manufacturing goes hand in hand with oil and gas. Many of the oil field subsidiary businesses look at us for manufacturing opportunities. Dragon PES is a prime example, but we've had Hirschfield Steel and Windland Manufacturing here for many decades. Dragon has announced it is bringing a production tank manufacturing plant to San Angelo. That operation will employ more than 120 people. Where can we grow similar opportunities? As we make economic development decisions, we must keep these economic drivers in mind and ensure everyone understands they are our priorities. That way we can ensure that decisions made at COSA DC or by the City Council are strategic in nature. And I want to thank Mike Boyd, Chuck Shore, and Michael Looney for the tremendous leadership that they have shown in looking at the economic opportunities that we have here with new businesses as well as with existing businesses. Along with considering these opportunities, we must also think about barriers that could keep San Angelo from moving forward. One is technology. We need a larger pipeline. That doesn't happen overnight. We've got to start working on it today and develop a strategy. We don't want people thinking San Angelo is so far out in West Texas that we don't have adequate connectivity. We can't grow as a city if we aren't forward thinking as it relates to technology. We will continue talking about permits and planning. We want to change the message that San Angelo is a difficult place to work with. Unfortunately, that's out there. And people talk about it all the time. When you get down to the nitty-gritty, those stories very often are not true. But that's the message. We must change the message. We've got to send the message that we have a permits and planning department that is helpful, smart, and pro-business, and that the city will help your development get going. And I do believe we are on the right path for that message. Transportation is also critical. Ports to Plain, Interstate 14, and I-27 are all important to us. People need to be able to get here. And if they have goods in San Angelo, they need to get them where they're going. That's where the airport, the railroad, and a business park come into play. As for our workforce, we have extremely low unemployment. One of the issues that will impact us if we can't get our workforce numbers up. As we said, Dragon will need 120 to 140 people the minute it opens their plant. We've got to have a workforce that supports that kind of growth. And last is property taxes. One of the big factors everyone looks at when they're looking at your city, whether it's a retiree or a business, is your property taxes or even a new home. I recently met with 6 other West Texas mayors. 5 of their cities have property tax rates of less than 40 cents. We're at 77.6 cents. And we know we have to have it there. All of the property taxes we collect aren't even enough to fund our police and fire departments. It's obviously required right now to fund the services the city provides. We know that today homeowners are carrying the burden of financially supporting the city. The only way we can control the property tax rate is to grow San Angelo's commercial tax base. It all ties back into the fact we've got to have growth and development. It is the #1 strategic plan we must have to ensure the city continues to provide the services and infrastructure our citizens need. And as you likely suspected, I want to take a moment to talk about downtown revitalization. When we recruit companies to come to San Angelo, they want to see our downtown. If it doesn't look like we're taking care of our downtown, most companies will think this isn't going to be the right fit for us. It's not a community who treasures the treasures that a historic downtown offers. When I met with the other 6 mayors of West Texas communities, all 6 of them made their downtown revitalization a #1 strategy. They realized the importance of it. Our employees and their families will not like living here, said many new companies, if you don't have a great downtown. If you talk to Shannon and community about hiring doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals, they will tell you that it was much easier hiring these highly skilled people when they saw a very exciting downtown area. And the same thing, of course, goes with recruiting professors and students at Angelo State University. It's a big part of why personnel at Goodfellow enjoy being stationed here in San Angelo. It's a reason so many people return here to retire or love coming back home to see family. They see downtown adding to the quality of life in this city. People also want to see something that looks like it's treasured. We do that down here. It's an important part of the city, and yet we still have 70 vacant buildings that need a sign that says, "Coming soon." The job's not done. We've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot I've thrown at you, but it's the bigger, broader picture of what we've got to think through as we make decisions. And we've got to be able to project our city bigger than we really are, because if we think bigger, we're going to act and react bigger. That said, we need to fish where the fish are. I want us focused not just on attracting new businesses to town, but helping grow your businesses and the industries that are already here. We cannot try to make ourselves into something we're not. We've got a lot of strengths here. We just haven't had a strategy to maximize all those strengths. If I were to ask you, who are we as a city? What would you say? We must have a message that let others know we think bigger than we are, that we're a city that provides a high quality of place and of life. And that's different for everybody. If you're 75, your quality of life might be around health care. If you're 25, your quality of life might be posed around the job you're looking to acquire. We must remove the barriers that keep us from moving forward and becoming the city we have the great opportunity to be. I was recently asked what I like most about being mayor. It's visiting with and listening to people. It's even more of a joy now to be in the restaurant, as it's an easy way for people to connect with me and share their stories about what they see, what they want, and what they need from us as a city and a city council. They know I'm here to listen and to work hard for them. The one thing most people know about me is I'm a hard worker. I vow to work as hard as anyone ever will to move this city forward and to make sure we are the best city possible. Thank you.
I wanted to start off with the highlights for the city for 2016, 2017. First of all, the top on the list that I have here is, I figured I should make this number one, highlight for 2017 for obvious reasons. We had 4 new council members come in, and that signifies a quorum. And I really do like my job, so I'm hoping to keep that a little bit longer, guys. Okay, next up is, let me move forward and show you a nice little picture there as well. Next up, what we have is the Texas Bank Sports Complex. We did receive an award this past year. For those of you who don't know what that looks like, if you haven't been out there, it's a beautiful facility. It's over 80 acres. Our staff did a wonderful job this past year, our Parks Division. We received an award as the Sports Complex of the Year, and that's given by the Texas Turfgrass Association. We're very proud of our staff, and we hope that they continue in the way that they've been working. Next up, we have the San Angelo Fire Department Regional Training Facility completion. This is a project that was started by the San Angelo Fire Department along with Howard College in partnership with the Council of Governments. And what they did is they came together and applied for an EDA grant of $1.2 million. We knew that the project itself would be about $4.4 million. And we received the grant. And we've been working on it for the last couple of years, and it was finally completed this past year. Again, if you haven't been out there, we'd like for you to go out there, and maybe at some point when they're performing their training, you can see what our guys do. They do a wonderful job. Next up, we had the Fleet GPS data monitoring. This is a system that we put in place to keep tracking and data gathering on all our vehicles. We have 430 light-duty vehicles and 137 heavy-duty vehicles. One of the big pluses this year in implementing that monitoring system, the GPS system, is that we were able to reduce over 50 vehicles that we actually had that would have been a replacement value of about $2.2 million. We realized that those vehicles were no longer necessary. Those are gone. So we want to make sure that we're looking for more efficient ways to run government, especially our fleet services. That's one of the highest expenses that we do have. Aside from that, it also allows us to keep track and monitor the way that our vehicles are being driven. We get alerts. If we find out that someone has been driving a little bit fast, supervisors bring them in and make sure that they have discussions with them and make sure that they correct that action. They also, the software also allows for more efficient routing of work crews, so there's been a pretty good benefit on the new system. Up next is the Homeless Coalition activity. Of course, all of you heard about this last year. We had that group that was underneath the bridge right there next to McDonald's. They were there for quite a while. I see the chief back there. Chief Carter did a wonderful job working with those individuals. I think he was down there just about every day, showed them a lot of compassion, tried to help. We had also the Homeless Planning Coalition. That's the Concho Valley Homeless Coalition that came together. And they worked very closely with us. We wanted to mobilize services to make sure that we evaluated what their needs were. And that's exactly what we did. We sent people down there from our local entities and organizations that help homeless individuals. Went down there, did an evaluation to determine what their situation was, what we could do to actually help them out. From that, we worked closely. Bob Salas worked closely with the Housing Authority. That's the Public Housing Authority, to come up with what they call the Rapid Rehousing Program. And what they did is, after evaluating the needs of these individuals, they were able to place a lot of those initial homeless individuals into homes and to put them more into more permanent situations so they wouldn't be out there without any means. So again, there's a lot of people that pulled together to make that happen, and we're so thankful for that. What can I say about as far as our partnership with the Goodfellow Air Force Base? We have had a wonderful working relationship with them. This past year, we did work with them through the P4 program, the partnership. We were looking for ways that we could help Goodfellow Air Force Base, and they could help us as well. We were struggling to find the certified mechanics that could work on a lot of the fire apparatuses that we have for the fire department. And also, what we came up with is we figured also that there's quite a bit of transports from Goodfellow Air Force Base to the hospitals. So we came up with an agreement that would allow us to share those services. We would provide ambulance care or ambulance transportation, and they in turn would provide those mechanics that could work on our trucks, our fire trucks, all our fire apparatuses. And right now, as of April through September, we've actually transported 51 individuals. They're at Goodfellow Air Force Base, and they have pretty much gone through all of our equipment and done a lot of the troubleshooting and work on it that was necessary. So we're very thankful for that partnership that we have with Goodfellow Air Force Base. Next up, as far as the highlight that we had, was the Clear the Shelter program. We have a new shelter director in Morgan Chedwigan. She's done a wonderful job this past year. She implemented, again, what she called the Clear the Shelter, and this was in partnership with Concho Valley Paws and K-San. And we had also as a sponsor Food King, so we had some wonderful partners in this Clear the Shelter program. What we're trying to do is fight the pet overpopulation epidemic. This has been an issue that we've been hearing about for quite a while, so we're trying to come up with different ways to get that done. What they did during this Clear the Shelter program, they did spay-neuter vouchers of about 100. They also had 88 adoptions this one particular event. They also administered 175 vaccinations, and that's of owned pets, and they also dispensed 114 microchips. There was a really great response, as you saw in the previous picture. A lot of people showed up for this. Next up on our highlights is the 9/11 Memorial Rededication. Back in summer of 2016, we had someone that vandalized that memorial. If you haven't been to the memorial, it's over there right between Celebration Bridge and the San Angelo Museum of Fine Arts. It's a beautiful monument, except, of course, as I mentioned a while ago, it was vandalized back in 2016, the summer. The monument is there to really recognize and celebrate those individuals that the heroes and the victims of 9/11. And it really was such a terrible situation. We found out that the centerpiece, which was a steel piece from the Twin Towers, was stolen, and the monument itself was vandalized. We wanted to do something about that. We wanted to get another steel piece to replace the one that was stolen. We were very fortunate to have Mara Velez and also Rosie Velez, who was a first responder during 9/11 there in New York. He was also a captain back then. He had a steel piece that he allowed the city to use to put there in that place. What you're seeing behind me is the Rededication Ceremony, which was held on September 8th of 2017, this past year, which is kind of fitting because the initial dedication of the memorial was September 8th of 2003. So again, it's wonderful to have it back. It is a beautiful memorial. Again, if you have an opportunity, please go out there and visit it. We also included some new lighting, LED lighting, which makes it look very beautiful at night. The mayor talked about this briefly a little while ago. She mentioned the ACT Work Ready Community Designation. This is a boon for economic development in our area, and we are only the second county. Tom Green County is only the second county in the state of Texas to receive this designation. And the reason why this is important is that we're telling the employers, and even employers that businesses that we're going out there to recruit to San Angelo, we're telling them, hey, we're ready. We have people that are certifying. We're bridging that gap. Whatever your needs are, we're willing to work, to train, to have the skills necessary for your business to be successful here in San Angelo. So that was a wonderful program. I want to thank Roland Pena and his staff for putting this thing together and working also, of course, the Chamber, as I mentioned a while ago. We're doing some really good things through economic development as well. Next up, we have the Finance Budget Public Information Awards. There is quite a bit of them up there. I just wanted to list them. I'm very proud of what our staff has done, in particular in the Finance Department and Public Informations. This past year, again, we received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, which is the 4th year in a row, Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. And of course, our information officers, we have Brian, who's here right now. Anthony Wilson is out, I think, but they have done a wonderful job. I don't know how many awards they received. They're listed up there. Sometimes I'm walking down the hallway and I run into one of them, especially Brian. I'll ask him, hey, you're kind of slacking. I haven't heard any awards you received this week. But they do a wonderful job. Very, very proud of them. Next up, which was a highlight, and again, the mayor mentioned this as well, that's the River Walk. Great places in Texas, great place in America. Earlier this year, we received word from the American Planning Association that we were listed as one of the great places in Texas. And we thought that was a tremendous award, and we were recognized for that. Later on, though, during the year, just actually about a month ago, we found out that we were named one of the great places in America for the work, of course, that had been done on that Riverwalk. We're very, very proud of that. John James did a wonderful job, of course, applying for that and for that recognition. And of course, I'd be remiss in mentioning people that actually, Rick Wise, Carl Lewis, their staff that really worked to make this thing happen. They did a wonderful job. I often go jogging or walking the river. If you have an opportunity, I welcome you out to do that. There's a lot to do there as well. I wanted to show you some pictures from, not that you wouldn't know what it looks like, but it's really beautiful. We have, of course, the mayor up there receiving the award, the new plaque now, that the dedication plaque that we received this past Saturday, and of course, the Bosque. Again, there's a lot of games and activity where families can go out there and enjoy their time. And it's really important to offer these programs, to offer things for our citizens to do, as the mayor mentioned a while ago, because it also helps us to recruit. It also helps us to point to other businesses, to you as well, the business owners, that there are things to do in our community. Quality of life is wonderful, and we want people to see that as well. Next up, another one that the mayor also mentioned is the City Auditorium, also known as the Elta Joyce Murphy Performance Hall and Stage. This is a project that through voter they passed the half-cent sales tax to allow for this project to move forward, and through a public-private partnership with SAPAC, the San Angelo Performing Arts Coalition, we were able to put together a plan that included donations. Of course, our biggest donor being Ms. Elsa Joyce Murphy herself, who donated $3 million to this very worthwhile endeavor. The mayor mentioned you should go and take a look at this facility. I'll give you kind of a preview of what it looks like right now. If you haven't been out there for the different performances, you should go, because pictures do not do it justice. So again, those were our highlights. There were actually quite a few more that I could have included in here. I am limited on time, so I just wanted to kind of point out those that we're so very proud of, and I hope that you are as well. Moving from the highlights, I want to go ahead and move on now to our 5 strategic priorities. And these have been our priorities for about 4 years now. And it's important to mention why they're our priorities. When you look at investing in a community and investing in downtown, you have to show the businesses that we talk to, that we're trying to build a tax base with, that are coming or thinking of coming to San Angelo, we have to show them that we're investing in our community as well. One of the worst things that we could ever show is bring somebody into our community, drive them around, and they see streets that are crumbling, infrastructure that's just not there. And so when they look around, they wonder, why should we go invest in that community if they can't even invest in their own? So this is something that was really important for us as we got started. What I wanted to do is kind of give an overview of starting off with water. Water, this past year, one of the biggest items that was in the paper was the Ford Ranch purchase. And we did purchase the ranch where we get our water from, the Chicory Aquifer, which is a 32,000 acre ranch. We've already invested $120 million in securing the water and bringing the water here to San Angelo. One of our biggest worries when we found out that the ranch was being sold is we thought, who's going to purchase this ranch? Is it going to be one individual? Is it going to be multiple individuals? We also felt that there was some ambiguity in the agreement that we had as far as the water rights. So we had to be really careful in proceeding and say, you know what, we want to make sure, if anything, go out there and if we can purchase the facility and later on turn around and sell it, because we're not going to hold on to it. We just wanted to make sure that we could shore up the water rights, the verbiage in the agreement. And that's exactly what we did. So that was the biggest item that we addressed as it pertains to water. And again, on our part, was just to make sure that we secured our water for the future. We also have a growing fund balance, thankfully, due to the water plan rate. We were in dire straits, to be honest with you, with the water department and the water utilities. We were consistently losing revenues. You know, here's the tough thing. We talked to people about conserving water, and y'all did a wonderful job of conserving water. Our revenues went down, and we knew that was going to happen as well. What we kept doing, though, was pulling from our fund balance to address the shortfall in those revenues. We got to the point where we were already at a negative, and we needed to address that. We also knew that not only did we need to build back our fund balance, we also had to address current projects, and we had to address future projects, and that's in the form of securing future water as well. So we did make an adjustment. We did address our growing fund balance through a water rate plan, and that's working well at this point. It's something that we'll evaluate on a yearly basis, but we have to continue moving forward with the plan that we have in place. We also, with the water and sewer main replacement, as part of our street project, one thing that we talked about is we are going to do a lot of reconstruction. Right now, you've seen that MLK is well on track to be completed here in the next 3 weeks as far as the roads themselves. But we also wanted to make sure that as we started the reconstruction project, that we're also replacing all the water mains, sewer mains, anything that was under the street needed to be replaced as well. The last thing we wanted was to do all this major construction work and later on have to tear into the street to replace those water mains. So we went in there and replaced those as well. You know, this past year, we've had abundant rainfall. But the lakes themselves still remain depleted. 2016 actually boasted the 3rd highest rainfall in the county, in Tom Green County. But what did that mean for us? Well, it didn't land in the watershed that we needed it to land in. What we ended up with is still where we get our water from. Our main water source is Lake Ivy. Lake Ivy is at 21% at this point capacity. That's a low number. What that means for us as a city is that we have about 31 months of water remaining, which is why it's so important to look at the future and making sure that we fill the gap and we have the water that we need. The search for water continues, as I mentioned a while ago. It is important, again, that we don't just consider the Chicory Aquifer as our answer to everything. It's not. We have a lot of work to do still. We do have an engineering firm that is looking and searching and evaluating possible potential water sources that we'll be taking a look at. But regardless, we haven't stopped looking. We know that with the Hickory, it's wonderful that we have that, but we know that we're going to need a lot more than that. As far as the year ahead, the water billing moves. What that means is that the facility where you go and pay your bill when you do your drive-through is we're moving our staff from that facility, which at this point is in pretty bad shape. There's a lot of negatives with that facility. Of course, as you go in there and you want to talk to a customer service representative, it's kind of difficult. You don't have any privacy. The building itself is not a professional-looking building, and it just really needs to be replaced. Back a few years ago, we did a feasibility study. We determined that just to replace that building and build another one would be over $2 million. We did have an opportunity this past year that we looked at our bank building, that we talked a lot about converting the First Financial Bank building to a potential police station. As we looked more and more into that, the cost was very high, but we also knew that we had other needs for facilities that needed to be replaced. So on Friday, October the 27th, we will be closing our offices, that's on a Friday, and moving our billing staff, our customer service staff, to the bank building on the first floor. We'll have that move completed by that Monday morning. So again, moving forward, that is one of the activities that will happen here very quickly. Full development of the Chicory Aquifer. Currently, we receive 9,000 acre-feet of water from the Chicory Aquifer. That's about 8 million gallons per day. What we've talked about and the City Council has really been pursuing is to expand those 9,000 acre-feet up to the 12,000 acre-feet per year that we're allowed to draw from the Chicory Aquifer. But in order for us to do that, we're going to have to make some improvements. We're going to have to add some additional wells, and we're also going to have to expand the treatment plant capacity. So those are things at this point that we're looking at, and we're hoping that within the next 3 years, we will have that expansion completed. Moving on to streets. Initiation of street reconstruction. As I mentioned a while ago, MLK is coming along quite nicely. Reese Albert has done a wonderful job of keeping everything on track. As I mentioned a while ago, we're looking about 3 weeks down the road when the actual streets will be completed. We still will have some sidewalk work to do, and also some of the intersections will have some lighting that'll be replaced as well. But again, we are on target. As far as widening the Southland Boulevard, that is Southland Boulevard where it intersects with, oh my goodness, of all the Sherwood Way, of all the streets to forget, where it intersects with Sherwood Way, we are expanding, we're widening that street all the way back to Sam's, and that's going to be a 5-lane street that allows for traffic, two lanes coming one way and going out the other. We'll also have a dedicated left turn signal, and that, of course, is to reduce any bottlenecking that goes on there in that area. We are in the 3rd year of our 8-year maintenance cycle. When I first arrived here in San Angelo, we had dedicated about $680,000 per year for street maintenance, street reconstruction. I can tell you right now, that's a drop in the bucket. That would never ever get it done. What the City Council did do in the past, and the City Council is supporting right now, is to complete our street maintenance program over an 8-year period. And this is a seal coating process that you've seen on the local streets, where we put an emulsion, oil base, topped with a rock base as well. That is to protect our streets, to keep water from seeping through the cracks and causing damage to the base of the street, which is what causes the potholes and also causes the streets to get in worse shape. So we're continuing on with that 3rd year of the 8-year maintenance cycle. We did deploy the asphalt recycling, the Benedetti machine this past year. We're currently training on it. The idea behind the Benedetti machine, this is a really wonderful machine that if you have an opportunity, once we're going to actually bring the media in to take a look at the work that our staff is doing. It takes the top layer of the road, it mills it, you add an additional oil base to that, then you lay it back down. So you're using the current material that's there, and what that actually does, it's kind of similar to a mill and overlay project. A lot of times when we talk about the seal coat process, when you just put an old base and chip rock over that, it doesn't do anything about to smooth over the roads, but this actually does. It is a machine that we will be deploying and using here in the future to do most of the projects that we have dedicated as mill and overlay projects. So we're pretty excited about that. That should bring our costs down and actually free up some more money in our bonds that we have dedicated for street reconstruction and mill and overlay. It should free up some money to do more streets. We do have staffing challenges with keeping staff in their street department. We've been running short. And that part of it has to do with other opportunities that have been out there. Oil and gas is kicking back up again. So it's going to be imperative for us to make sure that we keep the staff necessary to get the work done. As far as the year ahead, we're going to continue, of course, with our 10-year, $80 million street reconstruction plan. What's on the works right now is Bell Street. Bell Street will be going out in the 3 phases necessary to complete that work. And we want to get that done this coming year. We'll also be doing the College Hills Mill and Overlay project. Again, these are projects that were funded and approved by the City Council. We'll keep moving forward with these projects, the reconstruction projects here for the next, actually, 10 amounts to the next 8 years. The 4th year of an 8-year maintenance cycle, don't need to repeat that again. We're going to continue doing what we're doing at this point to make sure that all our residential streets are completed within an 8-year period. The asphalt recycler, again, I already addressed that. Staffing challenges, we'll continue to work toward making sure that we do have the staffing necessary. One of the big challenges that we faced this past year, years back really, and we talked about employee pay, and the City Council had established a goal to get city staff up to 95% market value compared to our sister cities. We've made some great strides in that area. Our firefighters this past year, the raise that they received puts them up to about 90% of benchmark cities. Civilian employees received about a 1.5% increase this past year, which actually is closer to about 95% of benchmark cities. Police officers went up 1% this past year, which put them at 93% of the benchmark cities as well. We have had a relatively low employee turnover rate. I know that kind of contradicts what I'm saying with the streets. It's not so much that we've been losing, we just haven't been hiring or finding the right people to fill those positions. But regardless, we do have a relatively low turnover rate. The goals moving ahead is, again, is just to make sure that we maintain equitable wage pay for our employees. We are going to review the benchmark cities to determine if we need to be looking at other cities. And the mayor was very vocal about saying, hey, are we comparing to the right cities, or do we need to look at others that have a closer market base to what the city of San Angelo has? And that's exactly what we'll be looking at this next coming year. We're also comparing to the local businesses to see where our salaries and our wages compare to you as well. We want to make sure, as I mentioned a while ago, we want to be equitable, but we also want to make sure that we're fair, that we're not looking at paying more than what even our community is paying their own people. And we are going to be moving to electronic applications only for civilian employees. And I want to talk a little bit about development services. The mayor actually talked a lot about this in her presentation. We, of course, in any business that you're in, it's really difficult to make a 100% satisfaction rate. Right now, I am proud to say that we've made some really good strides. I think that there's still quite a bit of work to be done. But right now, from the surveys that have been going out for our development services, what's been coming back is that we have about a 90% approval of the work that we're doing in the development services. The commercial building plan reviews, that doesn't mean that we don't have room for improvement. We're definitely going to be looking to improve our services there in that area. As far as commercial building plan reviews and commercial building plan reviews, that's with revisions and not without revisions. You'll notice that we were at one point without revisions, 24.6 days to do those reviews. That's way too long. Time is money in business, and we want to make sure that we improved upon that. We improved that from 24.6 down to 15.5 days. We also improved, and this is the big number right here, the commercial building plan reviews with changes. These are the ones that require some type of revision. We got those numbers down to from 60.2 days down to 35.5 days. I know for a fact that the person that we have in there, and John James as our director, has done a really fine job. I'm proud of the work that he's doing, and I know for a fact he'll be moving forward in that same direction, making the improvements necessary. Hopefully next time I'll report to you all that we're at 95, 96, 97%. So that's something that we'll constantly look at. The ordinance and process review and updates, we want to make sure that the bureaucracy isn't huge. We want to reduce the number of ordinances, the policies that we have in place. John James has been doing a pretty good job of bringing people, developers in, speaking with homeowners, speaking with citizens, and kind of addressing the needs that we have. If there's a cumbersome process that we have as a planning department, then we need to change that. And those are some of the things that John James has been doing, he and his staff, to change those policies, make changes to the ordinances, also the laws that we have in the books, to ensure that we are more efficient in the way that we provide our services. And that's a huge one that the mayor has keyed in on a lot in my meetings with her as well. As far as development services, making sure I'm on the right page, the year ahead, we do have a development review software rollout that you'll be able to access. This will allow you to submit digital applications, and it also will streamline the digital plan review process. So when I talk about the days that it takes us to review, this software rollout, the software program itself, should really greatly help in reducing those days even more. We will continue, of course, to look at our codes and our processes to make sure that we become as efficient as possible. And basically, our end goal is to streamline the processes that speed development, protect the public, and promote a high quality of life. And we want to make sure that we keep that in mind. We do want to make sure that we make it a lot faster for our businesses to do business here, but we also want to protect our community. We want to protect our citizens and make sure that we don't do anything that's detrimental to them as well. Chief, I know you're back there. I told you that I was going to be very cautious in moving forward with this one. This past year, in looking at the police station, you look at the number up to the $40 million that it would take to either build a brand new police station or even refurbish a building, even a building like the bank building. It was still going to be a very costly endeavor. In meeting with the chief and talking to him, I know that his priorities are for his staff, and I can really respect that. He wanted to make sure that he had the proper staffing. He talked about increasing his staffing by 20 police officers, which is something that the city council is very supportive of, and I'm very supportive of as well. But he wanted to make sure that he addressed those issues first. We know that that's going to be a major challenge at $40 million, and that's something that we're going to have to plan for. And we'll be working with the chief to make sure that we come up with a plan that meets the needs of his department, that meets the needs of his staff as well, but also comes in at a price that is manageable for our community. We are doing some research of what other communities are doing. There's some that are actually building their stations a lot lower than what we just showed you up there. So we want to make sure that we're prepared to do that as well. But with that said, Chief, I guess you don't want to come up here. I saw the... with that said, again, these are some of the changes. These are some of the things that we're working on, we'll continue working on. As the mayor mentioned a while ago, she's right on the money. As far as the vision for the future, we want to make sure that we keep in mind who we are as a community and what we can be, and make sure that we're making positive strides to make sure that we achieve that end goal, that vision that we have for the future. As for the goals that we've had in addressing our infrastructure, that is something that will always be there. We'll be investing in our community. Back in 2012, 2013, as the revenues are going through the roof of sales tax revenues, we made sure that we didn't grow local government. We didn't add additional staff. We didn't do any of that. What we did is we redirected that money to infrastructure improvement projects to make sure that we're doing right by our community, doing right by our business owners, and that's exactly what we'll continue to do in the future. Again, I want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to serve you as our city manager. You have been wonderful. I see a lot of you out there. If there's ever anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to call my office or come by and visit me. I'm there to do whatever I can to help y'all out. With that said, thank y'all so much.